Well, knowing how to help others during a medical emergency before first responders arrive is essential to saving lives, especially when it can take a few minutes for an ambulance to get to where they need to be.
And that's where the Stop the Bleed training comes in. It's designed to give everybody and everyday people the tools to keep an injured person alive until help can arrive. I spoke with Baylor Scott White Trauma Injury Prevention Coordinator Lana Julian about this terrific program.
Bleeding is the #1 preventable cause of death in the trauma patient. Stop the Bleed was formulated by the American College of Surgeons to prevent life-threatening bleeding.
Now, during life, stop the bleed can occur at any time. This can happen to a child that's riding a bicycle down the street. It can happen to an elderly person, possibly with a fall. All right, let's say I notice someone bleeding. Maybe it's a loved one, maybe it's a family member, maybe I'm just at the store and I notice a critical situation. What's step #1?
So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you are safe. Your safety is a priority because we do not want to create 2 victims. And once the scene is safe, you will approach the person. If you notice some bleeding, you will have to find that source. In a big accident, such as a motor vehicle accident, there can be numerous places a person is bleeding. So this is not the time to be modest. You need to take their clothes off and look, because a lot of times bleeding here can kind of pull and go around to where you don't see it. So take their clothes off, look for that site.
How do we figure out what we're going to do to administer aid?
Once you locate it, you will just find whatever you can, t-shirt, towel, and just put on top and then apply down and put that pressure on to stop that bleeding. And if it's oozing out and kind of bleeding, that's when you're gonna have to pack it. It doesn't matter if it's something that's dirty that you're packing it with, they're gonna receive antibiotics in the emergency department.
Okay.
So don't worry about infection, that's gonna be taken care of at the hospital level.
Stop the bleeding now.
Yeah, depending on the severity of the injury, a person can bleed out in 3 to 5 minutes, which is why we are teaching this publicly. Anybody can be taught this.
So maybe someone like myself thinking, oh, I had a class 35, 40 years ago, I think I got this all figured out. This would still be a really good class for somebody to take, right? You're gonna dive a lot deeper?
Yes, it would be a good class to take. The reason is, if you don't use tourniquets regularly, you're not gonna, in that moment, it's gonna be a minute for you to kind of be like, oh, what do I do with this? So it's really important to take it yearly, and that's what the class teaches, is kind of what you would do in that scenario. After your scene safety, call 911. At the end of the day, if you were too scared and you can't deal with the blood, call 911. At least somebody is coming at that point.
If something happens and it's an emergency, you got to assess how dangerous, and Stop the Bleed is right at the top.
It's a free class. There is no charge. If anybody charges you, please don't pay for it.
You heard from Lana there. She says if anybody tries to charge you for this class, kick them out. Tell them you want to come see her. She'll teach you the class, 100% free. The life you save might be your own, could be a loved one. Thanks for your time today. We certainly appreciate it. Great advice. We hope to never use it, but in case you need to, you'll be prepared. And just a reminder that next month will be the Stop the Bleed month, so you can scan the QR code in the corner and schedule a training with Baylor Scott White for your group or organization. It's a good idea. Do it today.